Have you ever heard a story so impossible that your first instinct is to laugh, only to realize by the end you're not laughing anymore? This is one of those stories. I was 75 years old when doctors told me something no one my age had ever heard before. I was pregnant. They said it was impossible. They said the tests were wrong, that the machines had malfunctioned. They said my body, worn down by the weight of 75 winters, could not possibly create life. But I felt her heartbeat inside me. I carried her. I birthed her. And what followed? What followed was something far beyond medicine, beyond faith, beyond anything the human mind was meant to understand. So listen carefully, because once you hear my story, you'll never look at a child the same way again. My name is Eleanor. For most of my life, I was invisible, the woman who could not bear children, the one who outlived her husband, her siblings, and nearly all her friends, the one who sat alone on her porch with a knitting basket in her lap, making tiny sweaters no baby would ever wear. My neighbors greeted me politely, but they never stayed long. People don't like to linger around reminders of loneliness. My house grew quieter with every passing year. Some days, I didn't hear another voice until I spoke to myself just to prove I still could. But deep inside, the emptiness never went away. I had longed for a child since I was a young bride. George, my husband, tried to hide his disappointment, but I saw it in the way he watched other fathers toss the children in the air. I saw it in the way he lingered near baby shoes in shop windows. We tried everything: prayers whispered at midnight, herbs and remedies from old women in the village, endless visits to doctors. But the verdict was always the same: your body is too fragile. It is not meant for carrying life. When George died at 52, that longing turned into a wound that never closed. I lived with it, carried it, tried to pretend it didn't matter anymore. By the time I turned 75, I had stopped asking for miracles. I had stopped believing life still had surprises for me. I thought I was just waiting quietly for death. And then one morning, I woke to a strange sensation in my stomach, a heaviness, deep and unfamiliar. I thought it was indigestion, or maybe something worse. At my age, every new ache could be the last one. But 3 days later, I felt something else, a flutter. Gentle at first, then undeniable. My heart stopped. I pressed my hand to my belly and froze. That wasn't sickness. That wasn't gas. It was the unmistakable stirring of life. I tried to deny it, but the movements grew stronger. I went to the doctor, trembling, my heart pounding so loudly, I thought the nurse could hear it. They ran test after test, whispering to each other when they thought I wasn't listening. Finally, the doctor cleared his throat and looked at me like I was a ghost. "Eleanor," he said, "the results show that you're pregnant." The room spun. I laughed out loud, a sharp, broken laugh that sounded more like a sob. Pregnant? At 75? It had to be a mistake. The doctor muttered, "It isn't possible. Not naturally, not at your age. This defies everything we know." But the tests did not lie, and neither did the child I felt growing inside me. News spread quickly. In a small town, secrets are as fragile as glass. Neighbors came by with wide eyes, some offering congratulations, others muttering prayers as though I carried a curse. The pastor visited me, Bible in hand, telling me that perhaps this was God's final blessing upon my life. But not everyone saw it that way. Anonymous letters began arriving in my mailbox. The first one was simple, almost laughable. It read, "Do not give birth to it. At first, I thought it was a cruel prank, but more letters followed. She does not belong to you. This child will bring darkness. Every miracle demands a price. The handwriting was shaky, different each time, as if written by many hands. I burned them in the fireplace, but the ashes seemed to linger longer than they should, curling into strange shapes that looked almost like faces before they vanished. The pregnancy was unlike anything I had ever heard of. My body ached with unnatural pain. My bones groaned beneath a weight that felt heavier than just a child. Some nights I woke drenched in sweat, hearing faint crying in the walls, though no baby had yet been born. I would rush to the living room and find my old rocking chair moving slowly back and forth as if someone unseen was lulling a child to sleep. The dreams were worse. A little girl with long dark hair and eyes, too knowing for her age, stood at the foot of my bed. She never spoke. She only watched me with eyes that seemed to see straight through flesh, into the bones beneath. Sometimes she reached out a hand, but before I could touch it, I would wake, with my heart hammering in my chest. Despite the fear, I loved the life inside me. With each passing day, my terror grew, but so did my devotion. I sang lullabies to my belly. I whispered stories of George, of our house, of the trees outside. I told her she was wanted, even if the world believed otherwise. The night she came into this world, a storm raged across the sky. Thunder cracked like the roar of some ancient beast, lightning slashed the darkness, and rain hammered against the windows. My body shook with agony as I was rushed to the hospital. I remember machines screaming, doctors shouting, and then silence. I thought I was gone, but when I opened my eyes, she was in my arms. My daughter, Seraphine. She was unlike any child I had ever seen. Her eyes were wide open, alert, focused, not the cloudy eyes of a newborn. They locked onto mine, unblinking, ancient. The air grew cold in that hospital room. A nurse crossed herself and whispered a prayer. Another backed out of the room, refusing to come near. But I held her tight. She was mine, my miracle. From that day forward, life was never the same. Seraphine grew faster than any normal child. By 3 months, she could stand. By 6 months, she spoke in full sentences. One evening, as I tucked her into bed, she looked at me with those unearthly eyes and said, "Mama, do you remember the locket you lost in the river 50 years ago?" My blood froze. I had never told a soul about that locket. Not George, not anyone. But she described it perfectly. The little silver heart, the tiny crack on its side, the initials inside. She had never seen it, yet she knew. Strange visitors began appearing around the house. People I had never met stood at the edge of my property, staring. Some pressed their hands against the windows. One whispered, "The child is not yours. She belongs to us." When I called the police, they found nothing. Not a single footprint, not a broken blade of grass. Seraphine herself began saying things that chilled me to my core. One night, she whispered, "I've lived many lives, Mama. Too many, but I waited 75 years for you." I begged her to explain, but she only smiled and touched my cheek. As she grew, shadows began to follow us. I would see figures in mirrors that weren't there when I turned. Whispers filled the air when she laughed. Once, during another storm, I saw a towering shadow with glowing eyes hovering above her crib. I screamed, but Seraphine giggled, reached out her hand, and the thing vanished as though it had been waiting for her touch. Now, I'm old, weaker than ever. My breath comes slower each day, my heart falters. but Seraphine sits by my side, holding my hand. She looks at me with those ageless eyes and says, "Don't be afraid, Mama. When your heart stops, I'll breathe it back to life. We'll never be apart. Not in this life, not in the next. We are bound beyond death." I don't know if that is a miracle or a curse. All I know is that after 75 years of emptiness, I finally have what I longed for: a child, a daughter, a bond that even death itself cannot break. That is my story. I don't know if you believe me, and maybe you shouldn't, but I know what I lived through, and I know the bond I share with my daughter isn't natural, whether it was a blessing, a curse, or something far older than either word can describe. I will leave that for you to decide. Now, I want to hear from you. If you were in my place, 75 years old, alone, and suddenly given the chance to have a child, would you have accepted her, no matter the cost? Share your thoughts with me in the comments. Do you think Seraphine was truly my miracle, or something else entirely?